Welcome to See You on the Other Side, where the world of the mysterious collides with the world of entertainment. A discussion of art, music, movies, spirituality, the weird, and self-discovery. And now, your hosts, musicians and entertainers who have their own weakness for the weird, Mike and Wendy from the band Sunspot.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.
2017.
Whoa.
And I think this is kind of an appropriate episode for the beginning of 2017 because we're wrapping up 2016. Aren't we, Allison?
Yes. A lot of momentous things occurred in 2016. Happy New Year, guys.
Yeah. By momentous, we mean people dying.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's pretty much what we mean.
Yeah. So already in 2016, we did necrologues of David Bowie, God rest his soul. Dr. Edgar Mitchell, the astronaut that brought aliens to all of us.
Yep.
And now we're going to do one more necrologue today for the end of the year. But before we get to the sad stuff, let's talk about the happy stuff.
Yay.
What's everyone's New Year's resolution? What is your determination? What do you really want to make happen in 2017? Allison, let's start with you. Yeah.
You put me on the spot.
What's your resolution?
Resolution. I always want to exercise, of course. At least I like the idea of it. But how about writing? More writing in 2017.
Okay, that's a good resolution. Wendy, what's your resolution for 2017?
I like the writing one. I also have a writing resolution for writing more music.
Okay.
And of course, I have my usual fitness goals. Mm-hmm. Still deciding if I want to try to do another marathon or if I want to do a half marathon or something like that again. But yeah, that and then the meditation goal. That's ongoing. How about you, Mike?
I'm going to try to take it easier in 2017. So I'm going to let myself relax more and not be so uptight.
So more vacations for you, huh?
More vacations for me, or just more vacations from giving myself a hard time if I do not complete enough for the day or something like that. So
that's a unique goal for you.
I'm going the opposite way. I'm going to be lazier. I'm going to take up smoking. I'm going to eat more. In 2017, I'm going backwards, baby.
All right. Well, that's pretty exciting. It'll be interesting to watch you on your journey of...
everybody's like, oh, check out my picture at the beginning of the year, the picture at the end of the year. Mine's going to be reversed. The beginning of the year, I look like Han, and the end of the year, I look like Jabba. So, yeah, that's my plan.
Well, how about everybody out there? What are your goals and resolutions?
Make sure you send it to us at Other Side Talk on Twitter and let us know what your resolutions are. And we'll obviously talk about the most interesting ones on the show.
Yeah, because it's always motivating to hear what other people are working on or what they hope to achieve in the year. So, especially if they have paranormal resolutions. I think paranormal resolutions are the most interesting. Is 2017 the year when you see a ghost? Or is it the year that you're finally able to tie your shoes with your mind?
Oh, man, you didn't know. You let me know that it was supposed to be a paranormal resolution.
Well, do you have any paranormal resolutions, Allison? I mean, it can be exercise more or whatever.
Well, how about getting maimed by a ghost?
Okay.
I'm up for a good maiming.
Yeah. Well, you know what? That's okay. If I actually saw a ghost and I knew it was a ghost, I would let that ghost have my toe.
You would just take the toe.
I mean? Oh, easy. It'd be like, that's a real ghost. Hey, you were a real dead person come back from the grave. Here you go. Here's my toe. I don't know about the big toe, but the little toe that doesn't do anything, and I practically cut it off every time I do my toenails anyway.
The little piggy.
You'll lose your balance. You'll be tipping over.
And this little piggy got cut off by a ghost.
So hear that, demons? Mike is offering you at least the little piggy. You can chew it right off.
Right. James the Amazing Randy might offer you $1 million. I will offer you a toe.
Wow.
But the thing is, if you're a demon, you can use a toe in some kind of sympathetic magic.
I know. Or I've got it. This would be a terrific opportunity for a demon to chew off your toe in front of James Randy, getting you $1 million. I love that.
Right.
Oh, wow.
See, now we have a whole plan and get that ball back. James Randy's dead, though, isn't he?
No, he's not dead.
He's still around?
Yeah.
I thought that he died. Or his boyfriend died. It's somebody just died in James Rand. I know he's old.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah. He'd not like you saying he's dead.
All right. Well, I don't care. If he is dead, he doesn't like me saying he's dead. He can come back from the dead and haunt me and collect his own $1 million.
Wow. It's on.
Right. That skeptical bastard.
Oh.
So, anyway, those are some of our New Year's resolutions. Obviously, I'm going to give up a toe for the paranormal.
and find new ways to insult James Randi.
I find a million ways. And the thing is, I like James the Amazing Randy, but that doesn't mean I don't want to make fun of him.
He's 88 and still alive.
Okay, so he's 88. So he's going to the other side soon. So he'll find out before any of us will.
Hopefully he'll report back.
Yeah. That'd be great.
Well, he's not going to report back just so he's going
to be like, "Oh, I was wrong. I
right,
better
like he's
remain
say
quiet."
That, hey guys, he's going to come back to the Committee for the Scientific Investigation of Claims of the Paranormal. Like he's going to show up at one of their meetings like all translucent and stuff like that. Be like, surprise? So that's not going to happen. So, and he doesn't want to get that $1 million back from the grave. He's not going to let that happen. So anyway, New Year 2017, and hopefully no more celebrity deaths this year, huh?
Yeah, I mean,
oh man,
last year.
Right. Well, I mean, no more in 2017.
Well,
and the whole joke is like they want to keep Betty White alive, you know. And I'm like, I mean, Betty White's funny and all, and she is the last Golden Girl still hanging on.
Yeah.
all the others are dead.
Oh yeah, and B. Arthur's dead. I mean, B. Arthur was the oldest one too, I think. Wait, no, Betty White was the oldest one. I'm sorry.
Oh,
but
okay.
B. Arthur was older than
Rue McClanahan.
Rue McClanahan and the woman that played her mother.
Oh yeah, Sophia Petrillo.
Sophia Petrillo was the
whoever
name,
the actress.
Estelle Getty.
That's it. Yes.
Estelle Getty, who not only was the star of the Golden Girls, but also "Stop or My Mom Will Shoot."
Oh wow.
With Sylvester Stallone, Stallone's finest moment.
But she was the oldest character on the show. But I thought she was the youngest actress.
Right.
Of
so she was younger than her daughter on the program.
So funny.
So Wendy's our Golden Girls super fan.
Yes.
So you're the one that's most worried about Betty White.
Mike, thank you for being a friend.
That's right.
Allison, thank you for being a friend.
Aw.
Well, if you guys threw a party and invited everyone you knew,
you'd see. You know the biggest gift?
I still wouldn't give you a gift. And the card attached would say, I'm broke. Okay, so anyway, Betty White, she's still hanging on, so thank God for that.
Yeah.
Abe Vigoda, though, he left in 2016. Fish. And people thought that Fish from Barney Miller was dead for decades.
I know.
Oh, man.
It's really true.
That's horrible.
So it's funny. Have you guys ever been like the internet dead server?
Yeah.
Like the whoisdead.com or whatever. Like it's the dead, and that's been around forever. And like Abe Vigoda is the whole reason the internet dead server exists. And there actually is abevigodadead.com.
Oh, goodness.
And it didn't change over until he actually died. And so it was like, if we just like, so is Abe Vigoda dead? Is abevigodadead.com? Would you say no until he's gone? So anyway, 2000.
Now it says yes.
Right. Now it says he did. But he's 94. Like he had a good run.
That's a long life. Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like a lot of these people we're talking about, they had nice long runs. So congratulations on making the marathon of life. And hopefully we'll see you on the other side. But, somebody who went too soon.
Yeah.
And this really feels young to me. And this is obviously was on everybody's Facebooks and Twitter. The Twitters over the past week was the death of Carrie Fisher.
Right.
Yeah, it was just startling.
Unexpected.
It was. Well, I mean, George Michael died the day before.
Right.
And he was even younger than Carrie Fisher. And I was trying to see if there was any George Michael ghost stories.
Oh, yeah,
and
that'd be interesting.
Not really much. But anyway, so George Michael, Faith, and Allison, you were in love with George Michael.
All right.
you were. I remember she used to sing that "I Want Your Sex" song. I want your sex.
Oh my God! Come on.
It was the summer we were in Berkeley, California, and you listened to that Faith album over and over and over again. I kept on listening to it. And
I'm still paying for it today, people.
Still paying for it. Hey, that's all right, George.
Things I did when I was 17 are coming back to haunt me because I do a podcast with my brother.
Yeah, you were a very pretty 17-year-old, Allison, but I don't think George was interested.
Oh, come on now.
Harsh.
Right. I felt like after all those sexy videos that I've been lied to all these years. So that was shocking because it's like, okay, oh my God. Like Prince, under 60 years old.
Yeah.
George Michael, 53 years old. Carrie Fisher, 60 years old. So that doesn't even seem old anymore.
It doesn't.
Especially to me right now as a 40-year-old. I'm like, that's only 20 years away.
That's the thing, is the older you get.
So you get like, oh my God, that's only 20 years away.
Right, exactly.
And Allison, that's only like, what, you turned 39 last year.
No, we're not discussing ages. I mean, you already revealed me as a George Michael fan.
Oh, that's right. Okay. So everybody out there in podcast land, you do the math. But the thing is, really, it just doesn't feel that, that 60 years old is way too young.
Yeah.
And obviously, Carrie Fisher was having a career resurgence with the new Star Wars movies.
That's right.
Yeah, and it's just crazy that she's gone now, and that, how is that going to be reflected in the movies, I wonder?
Well, we know how it's going to be reflected is that they're just going to pay her estate enough.
Graphics.
Yeah, where they're going to bring her back from the dead.
You think so?
Oh, probably. Because can you have a different actress play her?
No, you never.
You really can't.
And I haven't seen Rogue One yet.
No.
And Alice, have you seen Rogue One?
No, I haven't.
Wendy, you saw Rogue One, right?
Yes, I did.
And so this isn't a spoiler anymore, but Peter Cushing appears in Rogue One, right? Or the General Tarkin, Grand Moff Tarkin.
Yeah.
The Grand Moff.
So.
And Peter Cushing's been dead since 1994.
Right,
and
he's been dead forever.
And he's like a main character in the movie.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
man. Now I want to see it even more.
They had a guy with that kind of a Peter Cushing-like face, and then they CGI'd the face over it.
Man, yeah, it's creepy.
That sounds really creepy.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see that now.
Well, in Captain America Civil War, I think they did that with Robert Downey Jr. They had like a teenage Robert Downey Jr. Maybe it wasn't Civil War. I thought it was Civil War. But
it was. That's true.
They had a teenage Robert Downey Jr. And the first time I ever really saw that actually was, do you guys see the new Tron, or the new Tron, but the Tron Legacy, the Tron sequel? Came out like 4 years ago, 5 years ago. They made
was that the one with the awesome Daft Punk?
Yeah, it had a great Daft Punk soundtrack.
Yeah.
But what was funny about the new Tron is that, so Jeff Bridges obviously is in it, as old Jeff Bridges is in it, but then also young Jeff Bridges is in it.
Whoa.
So Jeff Bridges obviously in the original from 1982. And
cool.
That was the first time where I saw them de-age someone.
Oh, man.
Like that. And I know they've done that in the X-Men now and all these different things. So de-aging actors is just part of that. And I think the first time I ever saw them do that was they had Fred Astaire dancing with a vacuum cleaner.
I remember that, yeah.
Right, in the 90s. And that was the thing. Is like, are they going to bring dead actors back to life now? Is that going to be a thing of dead actors coming in? And are you going to bring John Wayne back to being a Western? Are you going to... Well, 20 years ago, they were talking about that because of that Fred Astaire commercial.
But I thought the Fred Astaire one was they just CGI'd a vacuum over where a person had been.
I mean, yeah. I mean, but the thing is, it was like it was reusing it and they made it look modern.
I see, okay.
And that brought in that whole question of like, can we bring actors back from the dead? The answer is yes, because the biggest movie in the world right now brought Peter Cushing back from the dead. And I think that's ironic almost because Peter Cushing always played Van Helsing to Christopher Lee's Dracula. And so you think that Christopher Lee's the guy that they're going to bring back from the dead because he was the guy that always played Dracula. Instead, they bring Van Helsing back. Anyway, so I haven't seen Rogue One, but the thing is they might do that, with Carrie Fisher it feels, since we're only like a year away from the next Star Wars movie, that feels like bad taste, a little bit.
That's pretty soon.
I mean, Peter Cushing's been dead for 23 years. So like, well, whatever.
The sting is worn off.
Right. No one's like, Peter Cushing too soon. And even then, he was in so many horror movies that I think he had a flair for the macabre, like Christopher Lee did.
Yeah. Right. So it seems only fitting that he's brought back from the dead.
Yeah, because he made his money in bringing people back from the dead, so he might as well. Anyway, so Carrie Fisher, so if you guys have been living in a box or like if you spent Christmas in the Antarctic, then what happened was Carrie Fisher was on a plane on the way to Los Angeles and she suffered a heart attack on Friday the 23rd. And then they got to Los Angeles and then she went to the hospital and then she passed on Tuesday the 27th. And so she passed, and that was the big news for the week, is that she had a heart attack, and then she was in a coma, and then just never woke up. Yeah. And then her mother, actress Debbie Reynolds, who was 84, had a stroke and died the next day.
Yeah, the very next day. That was very strange, I thought.
So as we're recording this particular podcast, they haven't had the funeral yet. And it's going to be a double funeral.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Mother and daughter.
How strange.
Yeah, that's...
That is so tough.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, and I didn't know the actress Jolie Fisher was Carrie Fisher's sister. And I think she's got another brother, too, that's an actor. So, like, well, I mean, famously, Eddie Fisher was married to her mother, Debbie Reynolds. Eddie Fisher was like a singer and actor, entertainer in that Danny Kaye kind of 1960s style. But he famously left her mother for Elizabeth Taylor.
Yeah.
And so, like, he was like Liz Taylor's husband number 4. I think he was wedged between Richard Burton's.
Yeah.
You know, in who Liz Taylor married. So the thing is, your dad's a famous actor, your mother's a famous actress, and Debbie Reynolds was like a triple threat, right? An actor, singer, dancer kind of thing. And so she was born into it. And remember, so Star Wars comes out in 1977. Carrie Fisher's born in 1956. So she is 19 when they're filming this movie.
Wow.
And we were just making a joke about Allison being in love with George Michael when you're, you know, that age. Think about if you had been on a set of a blockbuster movie, you know, when you were 17, 18 years old.
Right.
You know,
I was a wild child as it is.
Right. Well,
it really gets into some big trouble. If
Wendy, she was trouble.
on a major movie. Yeah.
Right.
And
think about if George Michael was on set with you every day like Harrison Ford was.
Yeah.
Like, what would have happened with that? He just walks over with that stubble.
Yeah, well,
I don't think
anything would have happened with George Michael, as we know that probably wouldn't have been fated going my way. But
he'd have been like, Allison, I like you as a friend.
Yeah. So, you know, she had some challenges as a teenager, for sure.
Well, growing up in a broken home.
I've just, you know, seen interviews with her when she was so young like that, and wow. I mean, I'm just captivated by her energy, her vulnerability, and her sweetness. It's just shocking how, you know, she's transformed over the years. But I think she had to because, you know, the weight of the world, you know, trying to harden us all. And I think, you know, she was a victim of that, but then, you know, she also used her inner strength to come back and help others.
Well, she certainly, I mean, her life certainly took an interesting direction. She became a writer and a playwright and then turned around from drug addiction and everything. And so, Allison, you're more of the age that's, you know, when you saw Star Wars and a female character in a science fiction setting. So what did Princess Leia mean to you?
Well, I think she was a role model to me for sure. I mean, it wasn't like there weren't strong women before her. I mean, I also loved Diana Rigg in the Avengers, Emma Peel. That character, you know, it showed you that you could still be sexy, and it's really hard because everything is so sexualized, and it's hard to separate that from other attributes, you know, without being overshadowed, you know, like your beauty overshadowing everything.
Well, even George Lucas said, I thought was funny, was that on the original set of Star Wars, she comes on, you know, that she had that white flowing dress in the first Star Wars movie as the princess, and she wears a bra and to the set the first day under her dress, and George Lucas is like, there's no there's no underwear in space.
Oh man.
And he really had this pervert. He had this explanation of why there was no underwear in space, because like the gravity or something like that would like twist everything and it would make it uncomfortable.
Well, yeah, you don't need it because there is no gravity, right?
Right.
Are you serious?
Yeah, so you can look it up, and we'll talk more about George Lucas obviously later. But
oh my god!
So I don't know if George Lucas is necessarily a pervert. Like I think
I was kidding when I said that.
But I think he almost infantilizes his character so much that I don't see a lot of sexual subtext behind George Lucas's thoughts. Like there's no but
it's just funny because when you said like she walks onto the set. I'm sorry, honey. No, the underwear is going to have to go. Because in space, they didn't have underwear.
There is no underwear in space. How dare you?
That's getting very method. We have to stay true and authentic. You cannot wear underwear in space. Yeah, what astronaut Do astronauts not wear any undergarments? I mean, I don't know.
Right.
This is a question that's coming up now.
Well, there's a great, from Ricky Gervais's first comedy special, he just has a great moment where everything stops and he's like, do commandos not wear underwear? And like, I was like,
Is that why there's the word?
Right.
You know, these deep probing questions, they just come out of nowhere. But yeah, in terms of her importance as a character, there just weren't enough women in roles like there are today where you could be sexy, but you were more than that. And I think that the character of Princess Leia, yeah, she does originally embody the trope of the princess that needs to be saved. But really, I don't know. I mean, she had a lot of spunk. And of course, you know, you got like all the stormtroopers around you and Darth Vader threatening to break your neck. And
a torture device that he used on her too. Like,
yeah,
I guess when I think about that movie now, and it has more of a subtext than I remember it as, because it's like that needle coming. That's like this black ball coming towards her with a needle at the end of it, and that's how he's going to torture her to make her talk.
Right. So I think it is subversive in that. Yes, okay, she's a princess that needs to be rescued, but anybody in that situation, boy or girl, would need to be rescued. You know, you're on the Death Star. You know, what are you going to do?
Right.
But I mean, it did subvert it in that, you know, later on, she really becomes a warrior and somebody to be reckoned with. And I think you do see that in the first Star Wars movie, and then it develops over time. You know, that she's not...
Yeah, well, she shoots a gun right away.
Right. And she's not, you know, some weak Lily kind of person. I mean,
she keeps up with everybody.
She's formidable. And she can take care of herself as long as, you know, you don't have like this whole Sith force against you. Right? Anybody would need
even
to
though
be
it is your
rescued.
father. Like, spoiler alert,
Right. Well, we
Darth
didn't
Vader
know
is her
that
father.
then. We didn't know that then. So I think that it showed that, you know, women could take on a leadership role in war because she does become a warrior.
Yes, General.
That's right.
She becomes General Organa. Yeah, sure.
Yes.
You know, I think about that too. I guess my first exposure when I think about it, when I think about Star Wars, I think about when it was first shown on television, and I taped it on the VCR. And this is in third grade that it was on. And I can still remember all the commercials because I watched it so many times. Like there was a commercial for C-3PO cereal. There's a commercial for like a Lincoln Mercury in the beginning. And I just remember all these 1980s commercials because I'd watch it every day after school.
Wow.
And I did that for maybe 3 months. I taped it and then I watched it until it was completely, you know how VHS would just wear out, and I would just watch it all the time. And I wanted to make movies after that. I was like, oh, I'm totally going to make movies. And I wanted to make a movie. And I was like, oh, because we had like a Super 8 camera or whatever. And I'm like, we already have a camera. Like, we just got to get the film. And then Allison can be the princess. And I can be Luke Skywalker.
Really?
And
I could be the princess? Oh, Mike.
Yeah.
I would
right.
been
Well,
into that.
Sure. Well, obviously, it's a nepotistic casting choice.
Oh, I still appreciate it, though.
And besides Mom, you were the only female I knew at the time. And...
What are you saying? I wouldn't have made a good princess?
No, I see you've been a great princess. But then I'd have to be Luke, and then Dad would have to be Han and Darth Vader. But he could be Darth Vader. He could be Darth Vader because of the mask.
Yeah, no one would know it was him.
He could play two roles. And obviously the Han Leia thing, that didn't come until later. So we thought about that. And we could have changed, because it was my own movie, I would have changed the script.
Yeah. Ugh.
You know, but
kind
also...
kind of Electra complex going on there.
Right. But also, I think the Princess Leia Luke connection, I don't think George thought about that to the third movie anyway.
Yeah.
Because you notice in Empire Strikes Back, she makes out with Luke in order to make Han jealous.
Right. So weird.
You know, when she calls him the scruffy looking nerf herder. And so I don't think George was thinking about that. And I think he was looking for a reveal in Return of the Jedi that would be as shocking as when Darth Vader said, I am your father.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
But was that Return of the Jedi when I guess it was, right? When they said there's another? And that
was it.
Yeah, when did they say that? That there is another besides Luke?
You're right. That was in Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah. So I think it was planned. And, okay, so in terms of, elevating the position of women, you know, the idea that, okay, Luke is like the savior kind of figure, but they were like, oh, no, there is another. And it turns out to be his sister. You know, the idea that she could be of equal worth
Sure. And she did a great job. She played a strong character, even only being 5'1".
Yeah.
Which was amazing to me.
Awesome. I didn't know she was short like me. So short.
So she was
I'm
a
actually
elf.
5'1.5".
All right, so you're probably taller than she
I
was.
hold on to that half.
But and also I think it's amazing that you could sit there and you just call over, Siri, how tall was Carrie Fisher? And let me think about that. And
Oh,
then
Mike,
comes back.
you probably just made like 80 phones go off.
Right, everybody's like, oh, don't say Siri out
Don't
loud.
say the word.
Right, and if you're listening to this at home, Alexa, turn off the lights.
Oh, not cool, man. Not cool.
Right. So no. But I do think she was a really great character for women in science fiction. And the damsel in distress, and she becomes a sex slave of Jabba the Hutt.
Oh, yeah. Let's
Ew.
talk about that. That was totally subversive,
That's
too.
my Halloween costume.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Let's
so the
unpack
gold
that. Oh, yeah.
bikini-
Wendy went as Leia in the bikini for Halloween one year.
Yep.
And didn't you brought along a Jabba too, didn't you?
I made a huge, because we were playing.
Are there
Right. And then Wendy brought a
photos?
date.
I brought a date. I made a huge, there's photos. I made a huge Jabba the Hutt that I hung up behind my drum set.
We
and
have
I
to
had
see
the
some
big, like,
photos.
chain. Oh gosh.
Well, you will. In fact, that's going to be the song this week. You'll see it.
All right. That's awesome. Okay, so
So-
let's talk about the subversive nature. Okay, so
Let's talk about that gold bikini.
yeah.
Please.
Okay, so the gold bikini.
So uncomfortable.
It is iconic. To everyone. It's really men and women. That gold bikini had some magic going on. But I think the whole thing was that here's this warrior woman. And this pig, this huge, gargantuan, corpulent mess that
Slug.
Jabba was.
Yeah, just a
which
gross
is
slug.
representative of, we could draw some parallels, some current parallels, I think. But anyway, so this big, corpulent, rich jerk is trying to reduce her to a sex slave, right? And all right, one of the reasons she's so sexy, even to women, I think, is because this chain that he's got her tied to him with, she strangles him to death with that very chain. And that was just beautiful.
But let's not forget, she didn't just show up with the chain on. I mean, she got captured trying to save Han in the beginning. So she comes in Return of the Jedi. She comes into Jabba's palace,
Right,
Jabba's
the belly of the
throne
beast.
room, and she's got a mask on and everything. And she threatens to blow the place up unless she gets Han Solo back. And so she's got a mask and everything. And it's not until her plan is thwarted do you find out that it's actually Princess Leia.
Right.
In this, and that's when Jabba enslaves her, and it's like, oh, ha, 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 ha.
Oh, that was
Oota,
just sweet. That whole scenario. You're making me want to watch it again. Where she just
Yeah,
strangles
me too.
the life out of him.
And I liked the extended editions of the movies too, except for Return of the Jedi. That full, they have the full band play for 5 minutes in the new version, and you're like, George, just
Enough.
because you
Enough is
can
enough.
does not mean you should. It should be 5 minutes of action. No one was clamoring for more of the Tatooine top 40.
Hey, speak for yourself.
More strangling. That's what I'm clamoring for.
That's
We
right.
each have the things we look for.
So-
And I was looking for more Rancor Pits action, more stuff on the skiff.
I was
Instead,
like-
he's like, you know what? We're going to have that Slice Noodles band play for another 4 minutes.
And I'm like, more strangling of Jabba the Hutt. I mean, look at that. I mean, do not just let that pass by. That was a major moment, I think, in my development at least.
Yes.
That's right.
When you
You're going to
saw-
try to imprison me, and I am going to strangle you with the very chain. Love it.
Yes. No, that was a great moment. And Return of the Jedi is my favorite. I know that's heretical because most people think that's the worst of the original trilogy. But
Because of the
it's my
Ewoks.
favorite. Yeah, the Ewoks are, yes, that is some poor business. But I think that first part with Jabba is the most fun
Oh, yeah.
of all of the movies because it's got good jokes.
Yeah.
The effects are great. It's got Luke fighting stuff on his own. It's Han at his best. It's got Boba Fett getting sucked up into this giant sucking thing in the ground.
And
The
Jabba's just
Sarlacc.
such a unique character too. When you first see him, you're like, I remember as a kid seeing him being like, what the?
Yeah, why is there a gigantic slug on my
Right.
screen? Who's and he's
Like, is that a creature or is that just a pile of slime?
Well,
Like, what
there's
is it?
always
And he's-
some really ultra rich sexist, corpulent slug
Right.
in the offing, right? You just have to watch out because he's going to get you.
No, he is.
He's just off stage in the shadows.
And it's funny because the other side is you have the people that work for the Galactic Empire, too. And so you have these various factions against each other. You have the evil government, then you have the evil gangsters, and the good and the people that are good are the ones who are fighting both of them. Mm-hmm. And I think that's one of the exciting parts. And that part, it can make everybody unified because everybody hates the Empire,
and everybody wants to stick it to the man.
And everybody hates the slugs.
That's right. Let me come off clear that I hate corpulent, ultra-rich, sexist slugs.
Yeah, nobody's a big fan. It's
and
all
if that resembles you, well, you know who you are.
Sure. And I hate totalitarians. And if that resembles you, you know who you are.
Guys, you guys are so hateful today.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the Galactic Empire was all about order and keeping people in line.
That's right.
And I'm not interested in that.
That's right. There's nothing more we hate.
So the thing is, now we've talked a little bit about, Carrie Fisher, great actress in these roles, and she had her own demons to deal with, obviously drug addiction and
manic
alcoholism.
depression too.
Yeah, and diagnosed as bipolar.
There's a great article in The Guardian about Carrie Fisher as an advocate for mental health and how, she changed a lot of lives by coming forward and admitting manic depression and trying to help others that suffered with it.
She did, end up being a voice for that. But even before she was a voice for the people who have mental illness and stuff, she also had her own ghost story.
Okay, now we're talking.
Right, that's what we're gonna get to. Well, there's a couple of things. First of all, interesting article from the Peoria Journal-Star. And I know that's probably a newspaper that you guys don't read very often.
Inquiring minds want to know.
The Peoria Journal-Star. But so there's a Delavan, Illinois.
Okay.
That's right by Peoria. And you have a psychic in the 1960s and 70s who's like a celebrity psychic.
Oh, okay.
So, and so much so that people just called her Greta. Okay, Greta Alexander.
A one-name
yes,
psychic.
Like Cher or Beyonce, who had Greta. And so Greta's a psychic, and Greta's friends with a particular actress by the name of Ruth Warrick, who was on the soap opera All My Children. And so Ruth Warrick in the early 1970s was on tour with Debbie Reynolds, Carrie Fisher's mother, in a traveling stage version of the musical Irene. They stop in St. Louis to do the show. And so Debbie Reynolds and Ruth Warrick invite Greta to see the show and then hang out with them. Okay, well, who also was there is Carrie Fisher. And so Warwick's telling this story a little bit later in life in the 1980s, and she's telling the story to Greta's assistant, who happens to be now the mayor of a town in Illinois. So this is a very reputable source we're talking here, because she was elected mayor. And, politicians are absolutely trustworthy. You can trust everything they say.
Right.
So this is a quote. Greta was the center of attention at a post-performance party. Cast and crew surrounded her. She answered questions and made predictions. Among those in Greta's audience was Fisher in her teens. Greta looked at Fisher's palm and said this: "You will be even more famous than your mother. I don't understand this, but I see stars, rockets, and spaceships. It's just out of this world. A crown is being placed on your head, and I hear this incredible music that is shaking the walls." Everybody laughs and thinks they're talking about Carrie Fisher becoming an astronaut. And this is
she's in her early teens.
So this is the 1960s then. And so in the 1960s, you think about Mad Men, a woman becoming an astronaut? That will never happen. What if they have their period in space?
Oh man, I never thought about that.
Right, what's going to happen then? Anyway, you got to watch out for gravity. Or the lack of. But the thing is, they think it's ridiculous. Obviously, everybody's laughing very sexistly. But what happens is that 10 years later, Carrie Fisher becomes the most famous princess in the world. And it's all because of spaceships and explosions and stuff like that.
So who had the last laugh?
I believe it was Greta Alexander. The most famous psychic ever to live in Delavan, Illinois. And you know what's funny is I've never
The
heard of
land of
Delavan, Illinois.
psychics.
Right. There's a Delavan, Wisconsin, and we've played Delavan, Wisconsin. Delavan, Wisconsin is right next to Elkhorn, where the Beast of Bray Road.
Yes, indeed.
Linda Godfrey, she's in Elkhorn. And so the Delavan area in Wisconsin has werewolves and stuff like that. But to learn that there was, if I said a Delavan psychic predicted Carrie Fisher's fate.
Road trip.
I'm like, awesome. And then I found out it was in Illinois, and I'm like, no thanks.
Oh, it's still not that far.
No, it's not that far. But what I mean is that's just interesting that a small town psychic predicted that, and I thought that was a lot of fun.
Quite.
And Carrie Fisher, actually, interestingly enough, you guys know who Corey Feldman is. Now, Corey Feldman, that's more your style, Wendy.
Oh, yeah.
So if Allison was too old for Corey Feldman, she was already on the George Michael.
You had a thing for Corey Feldman? He was in the Lost Boys, wasn't he?
I didn't have a thing for him. He just was in that gang of like characters that
right
my generation.
Yeah, like it's so if you were someone of our age, then Corey Feldman would have been on the cover.
He was in the Goonies.
He was in the Goonies, right?
Yeah.
And he was in the Lost Boys.
Yeah,
he's on the cover of Tiger Beat,
right?
Tiger Beat.
He was in a lot of those. Yeah.
So Corey Feldman makes me think about that. He was friends with Michael Jackson too. Like, remember, like he'd go places with Michael Jackson, and he would wear like the other glove.
That's right.
He wore like Michael Jackson had his glove, and he wore like the other glove.
It's like the Annie Lockett with the half and half.
Yeah. And so he spent nights at the Neverland Ranch and all that kind of fun. So he was living the dream as a young man in the 1980s. All right. So, but he stars in The Burbs with Carrie Fisher, because Carrie Fisher played.
Oh, that movie was so good.
That was a great movie. She played Tom Hanks' wife in that movie.
Okay, I don't even remember, but I just remember liking that movie a lot.
And this article is funny because it says that Carrie Fisher was 25 in 1989. And that's not true at all. Like she would have been at least 33 in 1989. So but he was 17 in 1989, and she was, in her early 30s. And he was, obviously super popular, had all the money and girls and whatever he wanted because he was a famous Hollywood guy in his teens. And he's like the Justin Bieber.
The Brat Pack. He was one of the Brat Pack, right?
That's right. Him and Emilio Estevez.
Yes.
Charlie
River
Sheen.
Phoenix.
Yeah, Charlie Sheen. River Phoenix. We saw what happened to River Phoenix. Gets all wasted, runs out in the middle of the street, and gets killed in front of the Viper Room. You see what happens to Charlie Sheen? Yeah, right. Goes crazy on the set of 2.5 Men, and
still happening.
Yeah, right. Hashtag winning. So this is Corey Feldman talking to People magazine. I was not at the best point in my life, and I was about to go off the deep end to the dark side right before I became a heroin addict, and she saw it coming. She saw the darkness that was growing in me, but I didn't understand it at that point. I didn't know it was coming. Carrie looked into my eyes and saw the pain and recognized it. She said to me, "Honey, I gotta tell you, this is your bailout. This is your chance to become clean, and I can help you. Or you can be in denial, and you're going to go down this long, hard road." He didn't take her advice. And she told him, "You may believe fine, but you're not. You are changing seats in the Titanic." And a year later, he tries heroin for the first time, and his career goes downhill. He eventually, he's like a reality TV guy. I think one of my friends that was interning in Hollywood in the 90s talks about seeing his band play in front of like 12 people in some cave in Malibu.
Oh, wow.
That he was weird then. And this year, did you guys see him on the Today Show?
Yeah.
Allison, did you see Corey Feldman on the Today Show?
Oh.
It's horrible. Basically, he's got these, like, they're called like Corey's Angels. Mm-hmm. Like these girls dressed up as angels.
Dance around and, they play the instruments too.
Yeah. So, but he's got like this list of rules to be one of Corey's angels.
Gosh.
Like he has a whole. Anyway, Corey Feldman was great in The Lost Boys, but he's become a little bit weirder in his later years. But a few years later, he's, after he'd gone through rehab and everything, he goes, she came up to me and said, "Let's go have a drink." And I'm like, no, I'm sober. But we did have a nice back and forth relationship, but unfortunately we never reconnected. I would have loved to have said goodbye. It's one of those things we all need to take notice and appreciate the people in our lives. But the way he described her, though, he said that she had a great psychic ability and she saw my future. She knew I was headed for danger. So Corey Feldman claimed that Carrie Fisher had the psychic ability. I don't know if that's a real psychic ability to know that.
I was going to say, I mean, I think the writing was on the wall for a lot of those young actors
Right.
at that point.
I mean, the fact is that she reached out to somebody and she wanted to help that person. And I think that speaks a lot of her character.
And the fact that she
Yeah.
would help him even though he was Corey Feldman.
Oh. No, that is sweet. And she portrayed his mother in the...
In The Burbs?
was that what her role was? Or
Oh, I don't remember. It's been a long time since
I was trying to... Because I was going to say, because maybe she was just extending her matronly
duties
role.
to the,
Yeah.
she's extending. Well, I mean, I feel like that, and I haven't seen the movie since it was like in the theaters in 1989, so it's been a while. That would be 27 years ago. So it's been a while since I saw the film, but I
Yeah.
feel like he was like the neighbor kid.
Oh, okay. Well, I think I should rewatch that one because...
Yeah, it's a good one. It's always good to see a young Tom Hanks, like
Totally.
like pre-Philadelphia Tom Hanks before
Love
he was all
it.
serious. Back when
Yeah,
he was still
like
kind of a goofball.
Joe versus the volcano.
Yeah, or
and those ones.
the man with one red shoe. Bosom buddies, Tom Hanks.
Oh, bosom
You know-
buddies, Tom Hanks. I love.
Right, everybody's favorite Tom Hanks when he's still like kind of a goofball and he's got that fro. And anyway, so Carrie Fisher has a psychic run-in as a teenager, and then Corey Feldman says she's psychic. Now later on in the years, she claims that there's a ghost in her house.
Okay.
And so this was featured in a TV show from about a decade ago called Celebrity Ghost Stories.
Yes, which is actually a pretty horrible show, but I liked her ghost story.
And you know, anytime you got something called Celebrity Ghost Stories, it's probably going to be trashy.
Yeah.
You know, it's probably going to be where they take a 5-minute story and extend it to a half an hour, as they always do. But her episode's great because it's her, another Golden Girl, Rue McClanahan, is in that episode of Celebrity Ghost
Oh,
Stories.
cool.
And John Waters.
Yeah, that's a really good episode, actually.
Yeah.
So what's her story?
Well, her story is, okay, so she's really good friends with a member of the Republican Party, like a Republican, somebody in the Republican Party in California. And he's a gay guy in the Republican Party. So she was talking about how he was a little conflicted and like didn't get along with his parents and stuff like that. But he's about 42 years old. And he comes over and they go to the Academy Awards together. So it's like him and his assistant and her, and they're all hanging out. They go to the Academy Awards and then they come back to her house. And he spends the night. And she says like, well, I wasn't going to sleep in the same bed as Judy, his assistant. So we gave her the guest room and then he slept in the bed with me. Okay. So they go to bed and he has a heart attack and dies in the middle of the night.
Oh,
Yeah.
Now,
wow.
Allison, you heard her tell the whole story too, right? So this is
Right. Yeah, I mean, just imagine how frightening that would be to wake up next to your friend and find out that they had passed in the night.
and I've woken up to a few cold fish in my life.
Yeah.
But never a real, never a real corpse. Just a corpse and how they acted. And it was just really, first of all, that's a terrifying story. And how is that going to impact you? So you hear somebody who's already acknowledged mental illness, who has defeated alcohol and cocaine addiction. So she's a little fragile, just in those parts. And, in Postcards from the Edge. And, she kind of gets into that relationship and how she's, her psyche and everything. And you wake up next to a dead person. Like that's going to take you a little while to get over.
I would think, yeah.
You don't just.
I don't know if anybody would ever get over that.
You're not like,
and it's not just a dead person; it's your friend and
someone you care about.
Yeah, and she said that she actually felt responsible that it happened on her watch, and what if she would have awoken in time to save him?
Oh
but
my
she
gosh,
didn't.
that's so
And,
sad.
Just thinking of all the guilt that she went through. And, it's not her fault, obviously. It can happen to any one of us at any time. But,
right. You could go in the middle. She went on a plane.
You're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, but the thing is, so this guy dies in the middle of the night and she doesn't even know about it. That's number one. That's just that idea. And then the idea that you're also sleeping next to a corpse and she's not, at this time this happens, it's not like she's old or anything like that. It's not where you're kind of expecting it. If you're like 85 years old and you go to sleep next to your spouse who's 85 years old.
Okay, that's straight up terrifying, Mike. You still don't want to wake up dead next to somebody just because you're old. You don't feel old inside.
No, but it's not as surprising. It's not like
Nobody
I don't know.
expects waking up next to a dead person.
No, of course
It's kind
not.
of like
Nobody
the Spanish
does.
Inquisition.
Right, nobody
sneaks
ever
right
expects
up
to
on
think.
you. There's this blue person rigor mortis, the whole horror.
And anyways, this happens to her friend. And this is, I mean, obviously
Horrible.
it's a tragedy and she's very upset about it. But the thing is that she starts having experiences afterwards in her house. And she says that her house was the kind of place she said Betty Davis used to own the house?
Yep, that's right.
Wow.
So, I mean, it's an old Hollywood style house too.
Cool.
You think that Betty Davis would have some stories. But so she starts thinking that it's her friend's spirit that's there.
Right, because, starts to hear weird sounds during the night.
And she's got a toy that her and George Lucas get a toy. And they've been working on something together. And they have it's like a little electronic thing. When you press a button, it says things, like it insults you. So like Allison, mom has that, mom has that button. First of all, she has a party button. That when you hit the party button, it plays rock and roll all night.
That's awesome.
So we have the party button. But then she's also got a little button that says like pickup lines.
Right, yeah, we love that one.
Like, are you wearing a mirror in your pocket or whatever, that kind of thing. Little lines like that. That are just
is
funny.
it hot in here?
Or is it just you?
Is it just you?
Yeah, and so she has this little thing that she'll do that and makes her laugh, and we'll play it when we're hanging out.
So Carrie Fisher had something like this that would insult you and just say horrible things.
Right, would insult you and like swear at you and stuff.
What a great toy.
And her and George Lucas, when they were working together, they would always play with it.
Oh, funny. Okay.
She said that she had this love-hate relationship with George Lucas, because obviously George Lucas's imagination, gave her this massive worldwide fame.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, but he wouldn't let her wear a bra.
Right, and there's also the opposite. He wouldn't let her wear a bra. And then when it comes to the final movie, he's going to have her, and he's like, we probably got to get her in a gold bikini before this whole series wraps up.
Oh, man.
And, one of the things I just remembered was that, remember Ross from Friends? Like, that was his fantasy, was Jennifer Aniston in the gold bikini.
Oh, my gosh.
And also, it's funny, Carrie Fisher would talk about how many guys came up to her at sci-fi conventions.
Yeah.
And was saying things, and really that is, you could just say when I was a kid, I used to think, you were my first crush.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a way to say it innocently.
Sure.
Right, and Kevin Smith did have a very heartfelt message on Facebook about how she was his first crush, at the age of 7, and that he really held on to that for years, though. And when they finally met, he revealed that to her, and she said, well, I'm glad I helped you find your lightsaber. But, okay, let's unpack that a little bit.
No, I don't want to unpack Kevin Smith's lightsaber
You don't?
in any stretch.
But I'm just saying that, okay, it's kind of reductionist to just say that's what it was all about. It was all about the sexual attraction. I'm sure that is a big part of it, but it's not the only part of it. It's not the only part of her character.
Steve Martin tweeted, and he tweeted this yesterday, the day before. Steve Martin tweeted that, when he first saw Carrie Fisher, he thought she was the most beautiful thing in the world.
Yeah, the most beautiful creature.
Creature. He didn't say thing.
Yes,
there's
but creatures
there's no
also
subtext there.
Yeah, creatures also, dehumanizing.
Okay, I don't know Steve Martin. Yeah. I do know that he used to have that fake arrow through his head. That's all I know, and that may have affected his judgment.
That's right.
But he said he thought she was the most beautiful creature he'd ever seen, and then he said, and then he found out she was witty and smart as well.
Witty and bright as well.
He was
so. If you have
and he deleted his tweet,
right?
Because people were like, "Oh my god,"
they were offended by that.
Right.
But he was Steve Martin's friend. Like, I think that people that don't know her or anything like that, like Steve Martin is entitled to say something in respecting his friend that I do not believe he. That
doesn't sound piggish or mean-spirited.
Yeah, and hopefully it just came out wrong. But I understand why there was a backlash because the idea that those things are separate. Like, you can't be a beautiful woman and have a brain in your head. I mean, come on. Why is there that dichotomy?
Well, I think that Steve Martin also grew up in a different era, and he was trying to stress that a lot of people focused on her physical appearance.
Sure, yeah, that makes sense.
That was just the first layer of the Carrie Fisher onion that you could unpeel.
Yeah.
Okay, Shrek.
So, anyway, I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
That,
And
he deleted his tweet, and he was friends with her. And the thing is, like, there's people. The internet outrage machine is ready to go after anybody.
Sure.
And I think that she took the fact that she was a sex symbol, a sci-fi sex symbol. I think she took that in good humor. And she would say, like, Kevin Smith, I'm glad I helped you find your lightsaber. And the way she talked about it, there was a lot of men that said that to her. Which is, I mean, creepy in its own right. Like I said, you could say you were my first crush.
Right,
Well,
right. You don't have to be.
Not like when I was 13, I used to take an issue of Starlog to the bathroom with me. Like,
Well, okay. So I think, though, that, she was reacting to it in saying that about the lightsaber because, I mean, I think it's so much more than that. When he's 7 years old, he sees this figure of a powerful woman. It's not that it was just the gold bikini. I mean, it really, I think, is a lot more. It's like I said, there's a lot of stuff in the movie. There's a lot of places where she shows her leadership, and I think a strong female character, that's what she was. And I think boys were reacting to that just as well as reacting to her beauty.
well, I agree with that. And so we got a little sidetracked from her ghost stories.
Get back to the ghosts.
We got, yeah.
So she starts, she says that the house is like liquid now. They're walking through it like you can always feel a presence.
Like the air. Yeah. The air was somehow like you were swimming through it. There was a different type of presence there or feel to the environment. That was interesting. How she described it almost like liquid. That was really, really good. And then go back to the toy though, because the toy would, if you hit the button, would spurt out these random things. And so then what happened, Mike? The toy was in the other room.
And it goes off when nobody else is in the room.
And the ghost friend totally wanted to insult somebody.
Right. Well, it's interesting what it said though, because you know how those toys work. They just kind of cycle through these phrases.
The phrases.
And then it kept saying the same phrase.
Oh, what was the phrase?
I think it was something vulgar.
No, it wasn't vulgar. Actually, it was. Are you talking to me? So.
That's right. That's right.
Are you talking to me?
Okay, that's creepy. That's totally creepy.
Kind of like a taxi driver.
Yeah. You're talking to me?
Version of "Are you talking to me?" But she took it because it kept repeating that.
It was almost asking.
Yeah, that this was her friend coming through the toy.
Gosh.
Trying to incite some kind of communication because it kept saying that over and over.
And she said she eventually told him to stop it.
Really?
And then it
couldn't
stopped.
take it. Oh man.
So that once she said stop it, then her friend stopped freaking her out.
Well, maybe she should have gotten one of those soundboards that has more words on it.
Well, right. I mean, today would be a whole different thing because today you do the thing where you have the radio stations,
right?
Whatever,
Yeah.
that goes to each one.
The ghost box.
The ghost box. But what I think is interesting, and the whole idea of a spirit using electronics is something that comes up very often.
Mm-hmm. It does.
That for somehow, they can, and they, I don't know if it's battery operated stuff or whatever, but they just love interfering in that way. Like they love pressing the buttons.
Well, that's probably one of the few ways they can get through. I mean,
that's a good point. What if it's electricity? So what if instead of, they're not physically touching, obviously
right.
not physically touching, I think is our ghost. But instead of pressing the button, they're making in the circuit.
Affecting the field.
Right. In the circuit board, they're making the connection.
Yeah.
So in the circuit board, they're if the most thing they can do is spark.
Right. Yeah. That could be.
The most they can do is spark it. And so he kept on creating those sparks to go back to, are you talking to me? Are you talking to me? And he's trying to communicate with Carrie Fisher and say, I'm sorry I died in your bed. It's okay.
Sad.
Yeah. So
sad to think about that.
But she had her celebrity ghost story. And the fact is that she was, I read that she was engaged to Dan Aykroyd somewhere, but I don't think she was ever actually engaged to Dan Aykroyd. But listen to this.
She did date him.
Right. She did date Dan Aykroyd. And, she talks about how she met Dan Aykroyd and that he gave her the Heimlich maneuver.
Oh, wow. Really?
She was choking on something.
Oh, my gosh.
So Dan Aykroyd saved her life?
Dan Aykroyd saved her life.
He just keeps getting cooler.
Oh.
And after he saved her life, that's when he said, as a joke, will you marry me? And she kept that in mind, that she's like, well, if he's a guy that can save my life, maybe I should marry him.
That's cute.
And so obviously, she dated Dan Aykroyd, and then she was in the Blues Brothers as Joliet Jake, as John Belushi's old girlfriend. Remember, it comes in with the machine gun. She shoots up the convent and everything. So she's a main role in the Blues Brothers.
Oh.
And so she dated Dan Aykroyd, and I think it was between Paul Simon.
Right.
Like she dated Paul Simon for a while. They broke up, probably because he was way too old for her. Not that stopped her. I mean, it didn't stop her in pursuing Harrison Ford and things like that. So she liked old guys. And then goes out
He
there.
wasn't that old when she was pursuing him, I thought.
No, he wasn't that old, but he was still older than she was.
Oh, okay.
So it was, I mean, I guess a ratio of ages there.
Yeah.
So like Harrison Ford is 14 years older than she is.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that. There's that much of a difference.
Right. So I can picture, I don't know, when I was 19, I think a 33-year-old woman to me would look like a librarian, it's like,
yeah.
Look at that. Look at that lady. I mean, it's like a mummy.
Oh, come on, Mike.
Well, and as a 40-year-old, I think about if I meet a 19-year-old or something, they must look at me. Like I'm in that age group where I could be anywhere between 30 and 75 to them. They look at me and they're like, how old do they think he is? I think he's 60. So Carrie Fisher, and the thing is, Dan Aykroyd's a great believer in the paranormal.
Right.
So could he have rubbed some of his paranormal belief off on her? Because she's willing to talk about the ghost story. She's willing to deliver it to celebrity ghost stories.
Cool.
She's willing to discuss it in front of people and just be like, straight up, this is my friend. He died in my bed, and he talked me through a little toy that me and George Lucas used to play with. And so Carrie Fisher had a fun ghost story, and I don't know. It's nice to remember her because I will always. I'll always think positive things about the original Star Wars movies, and
Definitely.
You know what? I even like the new ones, so I'm not going to say anything.
Yeah.
And then I do think now I wish that she had a bigger part in The Force Awakens. Like I heard that they've already filmed the stuff for the next movie, her parts for.
Oh, really?
Episode
Okay.
8.
I was wondering about that.
So they're not going to have to recreate her until episode 9. And that's maybe enough time will be passed. Number one, that the technology will be better.
True.
And she'd probably be happy with the technology being better. Because remember when episode 7 came out, she kept on complaining that they wanted her to lose weight for the role.
Oh, wow.
So whenever she would appear on the morning shows or whatever, she'd be like, oh, it's fun being in the movies again, but oh my God, like I'm sick of eating right and working out, and I don't want to do any part of this, and she's got a great quote about how like age and beauty are great things, but don't ever think that it's something you earn. It's just something that happens.
Right, it's just happenstance.
Yeah, right.
Right, and so you can't take it like that's something special that people have earned because it's just something that happened to them. So anyway, goodbye, Carrie Fisher. Thank you for the good times.
Yes, rest in peace.
The great movies, and we'll always treasure your memory as Princess Leia. Your mother, Debbie Reynolds. I don't know too much. She was the unsinkable Molly Brown, right?
Yeah, and she was in Singing in the Rain as well.
Oh, okay, and right. I loved that song when I was 6.
Aww.
So, and I've seen the movie a couple of times. And so Debbie Reynolds and Carrie Fisher, a dual funeral and a real tragedy.
Very sad.
2 people to die. So anyway, here's a tip from us at See You on the Other Side podcast in 2017. Don't do drugs that are going to make your heart go so fast that it'll weaken your heart and you'll die years later. So stay clean, everybody.
That's right.
Just
say no to drugs.
Just say no. Well, the thing is, you think about all these people in the 80s that did all this stuff, and they survived the 80s. Like they didn't OD, but they used their hearts so much, like the professional wrestlers with the roids and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like everybody's like, man, the professional wrestlers are dropping like flies. And I'm like, that's because they lived on chemicals for years, and their heart gets so,
Yeah, it's putting your body through trauma that it's not
your heart
supposed
can't
to.
take it.
Right, and once you get old enough where your heart's like, you know what? All this, we were supposed to live a longer life, but you used all my energy. I'm back in like 1986.
Yeah, I can't go the distance anymore.
Right, so, hey, I'm going. Good night. And then that's it for him. So the thing is, take care of yourself, everybody. 2017, I'm going for relaxation. Allison's going to...
Get maimed by a ghost.
Right.
Get maimed by a ghost.
Yeah.
And Wendy, what was your resolution again?
Meditation? Writing and exercising.
And writing. Between maimings.
Right, and I'm going to lose a toe in 2007.
All right, very exciting. Well, we definitely wish you all the very happiest of New Year's.
Yeah.
Happy
Allison,
New Year.
thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
And so we thought it would be a good song for this. This is a live Sunspot song. And we recorded this a few years ago for one of our Halloween shows. And so we always do group costumes when we play a show. And we talked about our group costumes before. And you know what? We talked about our group costumes and we didn't talk about this one.
What? Yes, we did.
We did. We talked about the Terminators. We
I'm
talked
sure
about the
we
Blair
talked
Witch
about
Project. But one year we went as Star Wars, specifically the Return of the Jedi. Star Wars
That's
characters.
right.
So I wore all black, but then I brought a lightsaber like Luke Skywalker. Ben went as Han Solo, had the vest and everything. And Wendy was our gold-plated princess.
I had to work out for like 3 months before that show.
We had to prep it. And it was funny because and the video is up at othersidepodcast.com/125. You can watch the video that we're taking this audio from. And so one of our songs is called My Own Worst Enemy. And My Own Worst Enemy, we always take a middle section where we quote other songs. And so for this special, when we went as the Super Mario Brothers.
Oh, yeah,
remember,
that's right.
We played all this like Super Mario music, and that was our quote.
Yeah.
And so when we went as the Star Wars characters, we took Star Wars songs and put them inside of My Own Worst Enemy.
That was fun.
And so that's what you guys are going to be hearing. And if you watch the video at othersidepodcast.com/125, it was too hot, so I took my shirt off. So I went from being Luke Skywalker. I went from being Luke Skywalker.
Get your shirt off.
Yeah, I went from being Luke Skywalker to the guy that guards the Rancor.
Oh, come on.
Kind of the difference in look there.
But it was a theme party, so there's lots of lightsabers in the audience and all kinds of Jedis.
Yeah, I forgot all the lightsabers in the audience.
Yeah,
Anyway, I can't wait to watch the video again. But you can check that out there. So everybody, here's Sunspot live with a Star Wars medley in My Own Worst Enemy.
If you haven't seen this before, please gather around close. As close as you can.
Everybody bring it in. Make it sweaty, guys. It's Halloween.
On 3, 1, 2, 3, happy!
Just to blow smoke rings, and I think I'm drinking just to forget her name. She looks at me funny, like Jesus on the cross. This is no fortune fall, but it feels like that. Jump with me. I laugh, right? She did. Not such an angel. Well, I thought I pushed away. I thought it meant something. She did. Star Wars, nothing but Star Wars. Where is my Car Wars? I deserve Just 'cause I wanna get broke up.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. You can find us online at othersidepodcast.com. Until next time, see you on the other side.
Hold on.
Whoa, what?
2017. Do not let another year go by where you don't join our Patreon community.
Oh my gosh. And we have a New Year's resolution regarding that too, Mike.
Yes, we do.
We're going to get the best rewards for our patrons.
2017, we're going to give the most fun stuff that we can for
Yes.
our Patreon community because they help keep everything going. And so you can find more information on how to become part of the coolest group of people in 2017 who like paranormal and rock music and the whole deal. You can find that at othersidepodcast.com/donate.
And we're giving a special shout out to Ned, one of our patrons, who's donated at a level where he gets his personalized shout out every week on the show here. So
Happy New Year, Ned.
Happy New Year.
Ah, ha, 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 ha. Uta, guta.